Hello friends, in this mini project we will learn to create a new logo of a glossy download icon. Now friends, the difficulty in designing web graphics is not so much in the actual execution of the design but more in the planning of it. At the same time, you want the graphic to be eye-catching yet smooth and small enough so it doesn't dominate your layout. This tutorial will teach you how to create a graphic that does just that. Let's create a new document. Hit Ctrl N. I'll name it Logo 2. Let's set this background color. OK. Hit Alt Backspace. Now create a circular shape using the ellipse tool. Let's create a new layer and create a circular shape by using the ellipse tool. I am holding Shift and Alt while creating a circle here, like so. Let's fill it with the color. I'll type in a value and fill this layer. I'll name the layer ring 1. I'll move it a bit to center it. Let's duplicate the layer, hit Ctrl D. Let's select the layer and hit Ctrl J to duplicate. I'll name it ring 2. Let's hit Ctrl T for transform. Hold Shift to make the size a bit smaller and position it. Hit enter. Go to select, modify and border of 8 pixels. Ctrl I to invert selection. Go to ring 1 and add a layer mask. You can see the effect. We have created this circle here. I'll make this layer a bit bigger or make this one a bit smaller. Ctrl T, hold Shift, position, like so. Let's now apply layer styles to both ring 1 and ring 2 layers. Normally a gradient overlay is used on the outer shell of a web graphic to give it some depth. Let's go to ring 1, give it a layer style, gradient overlay, opacity set to 100%. I'll select this gradient. I'll change the blend mode to something like soft light. We'll give another layer style, that is inner glow. I'll set this color to black. OK. The blend mode set to multiply. Opacity will be 75%. That is the default value. I'll give it a size of just 3 pixels. Hit OK. Go to ring 2 now. Again give it a gradient overlay. Same as the earlier one. We'll give it an inner glow. We will also give it an outer glow. Blend mode set to normal. Opacity set to 100%. And the size a bit bigger. Let's give it a drop shadow. Change this to -90. Distance I'll set it to 7 pixels. Size will be 7 as well. Hit OK. You can see we have got a very nice effect. Create a new layer. Let's take the gradient tool. Let's set the gradient. I'll enter the value manually. Add another color swatch, enter the values manually. Okay, another swatch here. This time the value will be F3. And for this one we will enter a value of 9090. Hit OK. Drag a gradient. Select this ring 2 first and then drag a gradient from top to bottom like so, and set the blend mode to hard light. I'll name this layer gradient. Go to ring 2, press Ctrl and make a selection. Now go to this new layer, take the paint bucket tool and fill it. Hit Ctrl D to deselect, Ctrl T for transform, make it a bit smaller, position, enter. Again press Ctrl and select the layer, go to select, modify and border, hit OK. Go to this gradient layer and create a layer mask. Let's name it ring 3. Duplicate the layer, name it fill. Let's fill it with our blue color. Set this color to 446 FCE. OK. Take the paint bucket and fill it. Give it some layer styles. Inner shadow. Opacity will be 75%. Distance will be 15 and size will be 18. Let's add some inner glow to it. Let's reduce this opacity a bit, say 50%. Let's increase the size a bit. You can see the preview here. Let's add a gradient also. The gradient will be the same. We will reduce the opacity a bit. Let's also add a stroke to it. Center stroke, normal. The size has to be a bit bigger. Okay, you can see we have created a cool effect to its borders. Cool. Let's duplicate this fill layer, Ctrl J. Let's set its fill to 0 and call it highlight ring. Let's add some layer effects to it. We will add a drop shadow. I've deleted all the earlier effects. We will enter a value here manually, 231F20. OK. Set it to 75%. We will add a bevel and emboss to it. Set this depth to 1000. We will give it a smaller size of say 2 pixels. Soften it by 2 pixels. Opacity 75 again. Set this color. OK. Hit OK. This is how it looks after the layer styles. Now create a new layer and call it highlight brush. Take a brush, white color, increase the brush size, select the layer by control clicking and create a brush stroke here. Reduce the opacity like so. Let's create a new layer. Go to custom shapes, take this arrow. I've set this library to arrows, so I got this arrow. Take this one, hold shift and drag to create a uniform arrow. Ctrl T for transform, rotate it to 90 degrees. We can enter the value manually, place it at the bottom. hit Ctrl J to copy, move it a bit up, hold shift while moving, Ctrl T to make it a bit smaller, position. Let's add layer styles. Go to effects, add a drop shadow, make it black, size has to be small, adjust the distance. You can see the live preview in the canvas. Let's add an inner glow, change this color to white, blend mode to screen, let's see what the size does. Let's also make it satin. The color will be black and opacity will be a bit lower, say to about 40%. Let's set this angle, reduce the distance a bit, also the size. We will also change this contour, select something like this, looks good. Let's do a color overlay, set it to white, also give it a gradient, reduce the opacity of the gradient, give it a stroke as well, reduce the size of the stroke, give it outside, reduce the size of the stroke a bit more. Okay, copy this layer style to the smaller arrow, right click, copy layer style, go to this layer and paste layer style. Cool. Now to give it a glossy look, let's create another layer, call it gloss. Take our pen tool and create a shape. Let's reduce the opacity. Hit A to take the direct selection tool. Select these points and adjust to create a nice round circle here. I'm happy with that. Let's control click this fill layer, go to this gloss layer, create a layer mask. Cool. We have created a nice gloss over on it. Now let's add a shadow on a new layer below all of the other layers. Click on the lowest layer, hit Ctrl and create new layer. It will create a layer here. Let's take the brush tool, a black color, a soft brush, create some strokes here. Reduce the opacity. So friends, this was how to create a nice logo using layer styles and some more tricks. Hope you understand. That's all for the basics of Photoshop, friends. Bye bye.